And we're going live. And we're live. Woo! What's happening? Keep an eye out. We're starting in like literally 30 seconds. Get your drinks, get your water, get everything you need, get your notepad, get whatever you need, guys. We're going to get rolling in less than 30 seconds. Welcome to the Love Money Mindset Show, baby!
Glad you could join us.
This is the show where you guys know that every single time you get an opportunity to sit down, hang out with Vass and myself. This is my gorgeous queen, Vass.
Yay.
And I am her gorgeous king, Sohan. I just want to speak for myself on that one. But what you're going to get today is very special. Just like you know, in every single show episode, we go through anything related to mindset, anything related to relationships, and everything related to wealth. We're going to talk a lot about that. And
yes, you can have it all. Love money mindset.
welcome, everybody.
Yes.
Welcome to the Love Money Mindset Show. We are bloody excited because we got one of our good new close friends on the show.
Superman.
He is Superman, and his name is Brett D. Scott.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked him out, go to brettdscott.com right now, and you will see exactly who this awesome human being is. He is superhuman. He is an absolute legend, and he's an avenger, like one of our friends says, but he's also an apostle for a lot of us in the world, where he impacts people through breaking free from those crazy patterns, which are referred to as paradigms, which you might not know what they are, or you might. Either way, you're going to get that unraveled today.
That's
and we're going to talk more about it today.
Those patterns that you keep on repeating and you think, oh, I meet a different person, same scenario, same situation. I know you feel me.
That's right. So you know what? This man is really special because he is the founder of Freedom Coaching. We've got superhero cups because this guy, you wait and watch for a second. You got a surprise coming your way. You know, he is the founder of Freedom Coaching, and he is also the man who creates these unbelievable masterminds and really shifts people's thinking and behavioral patterns to get breakthroughs in whatever aspect of their life that they're looking to achieve, whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whether it's sales, whether it's relationships, whether it's just personally growing and improving oneself to be able to achieve so much more. This man is a guy who's really created that. He continues to do that consistently. In fact,
he's a great individual, very down to earth, very heart-centered. That's what we absolutely love about Brett, Superman. So we look forward to you meeting him in just a couple of seconds.
Absolutely. So let's bring this man on. You know, this guy's a legend. We want to bring him on right now. You'll see him. There he is, our brother from another mother. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Put your hands together for the founder of Freedom Coaching, Brett D. Scott. Woo, 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 woo. Guys, you know, we just want to say this man has graced our presence. We're going to leave it to him for a second right now to go in and fill in the gaps with introducing himself and just sharing a little bit. We'll go into the detail of his story, but just fill in the gaps to get started, Brett. And welcome to the Love Money Mindset Show, my friend.
Thanks, Brett.
And we can't hear you. There must be a mic issue. Unmute mic. Let's try that. There you go. You're good to go.
I'm good to go? Okay.
Yep. Let's do that from the top again. Fill in the gaps. Let's roll with it and make sure we can get all your introduction in for the people.
Thank you, guys. Hey, look, I love that cup. I thought when I first met Sohan, I thought he must have gone out and bought that cup just because he's dealing with me. But no, he's had that cup already. I remember the first time I saw Sohan. You did. What a legend.
She bought it.
Not a surprise. And look, when I first saw Sohan, probably like a lot of you, I remember seeing that smile and just thinking, what a legend. I didn't even hear a word come out of his mouth. I thought, I need to know this guy. I knew it. I knew we were going to be, soul brothers. And, and it really is no surprise that Vas and Sohan and myself have connected the way we have in, you mentioned before, Vas, about heart-centered. It's the key, right? It is the key. It is the secret. It is the gold. And I do show up on the socials as Superman. In fact, originally, and actually it's in that picture you're using for the promo, which is Clark Kent turning into Superman, me taking off the glasses, right? And by the way, these aren't vision glasses. These are to protect my eyes from the blue light. But I'll take
this
them off.
one. There you go. That one.
There you
right
go.
there. That's
There
the
he
guy.
So, what's interesting about that, one of my clients was a photographer and video editor, and he said, let's do a fun shoot. And I thought, oh, okay, what can I do? And now I've had a fascination and love for Superman from like probably the age of 1 or 2, like really young. Can you hear all the nature outside? I apologize. I'm living in Noosa. And if anyone has been to Noosa, it's like a little tropical oasis. And and so there's a lot of tropical noises that go on outside my balcony. So Superman, it was something for me from a very young age that I always loved Superman, and a lot of people do, of course. But I had such a deep, deep fascination for Superman. In fact, I would go to wishing wells and I would put in a coin and wish that I could fly like Superman. I would have dreams, multiple dreams, where I would actually go to Universal Studios and Superman would grab me by the hand and we would go up into the air and we'd be flying, right? And my mum, I used to nag her to buy me a Superman outfit when I was 3 or maybe 4. I kept nagging her, buy me a Superman costume. No, she is... Like my mum was so afraid that I was going to jump off the roof, right? Did not buy me a Superman costume. Actually, just give me 1 second. I want to show you something.
Cool. This guy's cool. When you see what Brett does and what he creates in his masterminds and the way he runs them, the way he communicates, he's such a real, authentic man.
Down to earth, as you can tell.
100%.
That would be me.
There you go. See, look at that. Yeah, classic.
Now,
you should wear that now, my friend. You should wear it now.
I actually bought it for my son. Right.
Wow.
Now, I have a 5-year-old son. It's a little bit big, so he's not really into wearing it yet. And in fact, what's interesting is that my mum bought me a Batman outfit because she thought pretty likely I'm not going to do what she was worried I would do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a tangent just quickly. What happens when you focus on something you don't want to have happen?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. You attract it, right? Well, she did attract it because what did Batman do? Batman jumped off the roof thinking he could glide. I helped my Kate.
Oh, you're shooting me. No way.
And I landed in a rose bush. Now.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
Yeah. So she got the dead all out and fixed me up. But the point is, when I had my son, I'm going way forward, but when I had my son, I was trying to get him into Superman.
Yeah.
He wasn't having a bar of it. Like from the age of 1, he was into Batman. So he's the Batman fan and I'm the Superman fan, right?
Wow.
But the thing is, right, when I made the decision to bring some Superman stuff for the photo shoot, it was like the universe had guided me to it, because what was actually happening and what had happened is I had literally gone through a dramatic transformation.
Yeah.
Such a dramatic transformation that it just made sense to do a Clark Kent turning into Superman. I wasn't even really consciously thinking about it, honestly. It wasn't a conscious thought in my mind. And then I put it up as a joke. Not a joke, but I put it up as like a, lighthearted, put this. And everyone was like, oh, my God, I love that image. And I was like, oh, okay. I get it. Now I get it. And so the point is that, I'm not, I was going to say I'm not special. I am special. We all are. But
you totally are.
But why I was going to say I'm not special is in everyone has the ability to become their own superhero.
For sure.
You know, other people might be into Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
might be into the Hulk, you know, whatever it is for you that, you know, you think, wow, imagine having that power or whatever it is that excites you, you know. And the other part to it that I love, it actually brings that childhood feeling into it as well. So,
100%.
you know, you're taking some of the seriousness out of it,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you're not doing the work that's required to actually have the changes that you desire.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. When you say childhoodness, you know, it's great because there is courage. Kids are very courageous.
Yeah.
I mean, look what you did, right? Jumped off the roof. That's courageous, right there. And you got a word there that says courage. Is that what it is? Is that what you're pointing
Can't
to?
see it.
I can't see it, but
oh, hang on.
be brave. Is that what? Oh, yeah, the one that says be brave. Yeah,
Yeah, be brave. Be brave.
there you go. There you go.
Right? Because, you know, this is the part, right? And you've got here on our cover, achieve your big, hairy, audacious goals. Some people might not know what that is. I worked in real estate for a number of years. In fact, I'm an award-winning real estate agent from Melbourne.
Yeah.
originally.
Oh, yeah. So
And-
go ahead now. While you're on that, go ahead and share with everybody your background in terms of where you were raised.
Yeah.
You said you're a Melbourne boy, and also in terms of your professional career. Let's hear it.
Okay, so a lot of people say my mum's a gypsy, right? Because I was born in Melbourne, and we moved a lot. I went to 5 different primary schools in Melbourne,
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Wow.
and then we moved to Perth. So at the age of 9, we moved to Perth. I lived there for 5 years, so up until the age of 14. I went to 2 primary schools there, went to 1 high school there, which was probably the most consistency that I had, 1 high school to the age of year 10. And then moved back to Melbourne and went to another 2 high schools. And so the thing is, right, you know, getting distracted by the birds. The thing is, what's
Ladies and
interesting,
gentlemen, it's not sound effects. We can promise you that. It's
Yeah,
all
there's
natural.
no shortage of bird noises around here, let me tell you. But the interesting thing was, you know, going through all that moving, it was like, I enjoyed it. And in fact, I think that's been one of the reasons I've been able to have so much change in my career or in my professional life. And what happened when I first started getting into the workforce, because for me, I didn't finish school. I did year 11. Sorry, I got to year 11. I started it. In fact, I moved schools to do year 11.
Yep.
In fact, in Melbourne, I could say I went to 3 schools, but I just went back to back to one of the original ones I went to in Melbourne. And I started year 11 twice, and I didn't finish. And there's a story to it, but it doesn't really matter. I had a troubled youth, as in I grew. You know, I like to think. And I sometimes say I grew up too quick, and that's probably not exactly true. I had moments where I would, you know, be dealing with a lot of adults, or I actually used to work in nightclubs from the age of 15 and 16. I was running promotions for different nightclubs. There's a big long story behind that, which I won't go into, but even whilst that was happening, I was also doing some things that weren't exactly positive and had me ending up in front of a magistrate or a judge, as you might say in some other countries, numerous times. In fact, the last time that I was in front of the magistrate, he said to me, and I looked quite innocent. I looked quite, you know, I used to play on my innocence, and that that lasted for 5 or 6 times in front of the magistrate. And then he said, "Look, Brett, this is the final time. You either don't show up, if you show up in front of me one more time, the next time you show up, I should say, you are going into juvenile detention." And thankfully, that was the fright that I needed. And I did stop doing some of the naughty things. I wasn't hurting anyone, but shoplifting, stealing cars, graffiti, you know, doing a lot of. I was in a graffiti gang called Juveniles Beyond Authority. I definitely lived up to that. And you know, but they were going through teenage years without a dad. I think that was really the reason why I did a lot of those things and allowed myself to be around people that, you know, helped me to make decisions that definitely weren't in my best interest. And, you know, but it was great learning, and I would never change it. It's part of me. And it's certainly, you know, I know as a father, it's giving me great understanding about how I can, you know, handle discussions that may come up when he gets a bit older. Thankfully, he's a lot more like internally, a lot more like my ex-partner. So she was very calm and didn't like to go out and do dangerous things. So we should be okay. But yeah, going into my professional life. So I started off as a waiter. I was an apprentice waiter, if you know what that was, back in, you know, one of those 5-star, what were we called? Like a maitre d', you know, where we had to learn how to serve properly and, you know, had to learn all the different etiquette. And I did that at a place called Mietta's Queenscliff Hotel. And that was kind of the start. And what's interesting in all the different careers, and I'll tell you what they all are, there's quite a few. What was interesting is I chose careers that were service-based, as in, you know, helping people. And so the first one was as a waiter. I then moved into bartending when I got a bit older. I was 18 at that time. And I moved into, I was kind of, wasn't really locked into a career as such. I was just doing the work and, you know, and partying as you do as a young teenager. And I got to a point at the age of 19 or 20 where I had to make a decision, and I actually got some kinesiology, which really helped to align me to actually really work out what wasn't working inside of me, and to have some shifts to enable me to actually be a bit more committed to becoming an adult. And I started my first career. Actually, the first part that happened when I did the kinesiology, if anyone hasn't done it, and you're struggling in certain aspects of your life, it's a good way to get yourself aligned. And I still do it. Even yesterday, I had some kinesiology.
Yeah, wow.
And what happened was I ended up going, I was working part-time, and I was Centrelink, unless you've got some international people like the what do you call it? I don't know what you call it in other countries, but Centrelink. And they had this thing where you could learn how to plant all these trees and like learn all the native plants or trees. And there was we had to like plant 1 million trees. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I may as well go and do that. Well, I had such enthusiasm to learn that within 4 weeks, and as a 6-month program, within 4 weeks, I'd learned everything that they could teach me. One of the supervisors pulled me aside and said, Brett, we actually don't know. There's really nothing else for you to learn. I learned all the botanical names of all the trees. I knew everything. Like, I learned everything. And they said, what we want to do is actually have you come on as an assistant supervisor, because you're so enthusiastic and you know everything. Why don't you help us? I said, cool. So for the next 5 months, I was an assistant supervisor, and I got nominated by them for a Trust for Young Australians award, which I won. 6 people in Australia won one of those awards every year, and I was one of them. So I went to Canberra, met with the Prime Minister, and got my award. And that was pretty cool at the age of 19 or 20. Wow. And then I went on to one of the supervisors I was working with said, hey, you're so good at this. Why don't you actually start your own landscaping business? I was thinking, I'm only 19 or 20. Like, how am I going to do that? And he said, well, you go and do this business course. And it was a certificate in small business management. Go and do this business course and you can like set up your own business. Okay, I'll go and do it. So I went and did it, passed it, got my business set up. It's called Fresh Earth Environmental Landscaping. And if you spell out the acronym, it's FEEL, Fresh Earth Environmental Landscaping. I like to say that was a super success. No, it wasn't. It failed. And the reason it failed is I was always underquoting for jobs. And and at a certain point, I had to go and get a job to pay for the jobs. So I went and worked at a video store when we had video cassettes, and then it moved into DVDs. So I went and worked in a DVD shop, and then I had a friend that actually was working in hotels, and he said, I went to meet with him one day, and he said, one of the duty managers came up and asked me whether you'd actually like to work as a bellhop, or we call them porters here in Australia. If you want to work as a porter at this hotel, like I'm doing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know how to do it, but yeah, sure. So I went and did that. And I was so good at it that one of the other GMs, one of the general managers from another hotel, said to me, hey, I'd love to have you come and work at my hotel as well. Have you got the time? So I was working between the two hotels. And at that hotel, which was Ridges Carlton, I was at Ridges Melbourne, which is where the first hotel I worked in. Ridges Carlton, the GM, he kept getting all these, what do you call them? Not testimonials, feedback from guests, like guest comments. And it was like so many positive guest comments. He said, hey, I'm thinking about like having a concierge department in this hotel. Would you like to be the concierge? I was like,
wow.
I don't know how to do that, but yeah, sounds good. So, well, what I did was I went around to all the other hotels and I met all the other concierges in Melbourne, and I asked for a bit of advice on how to get started and what I should be doing to set up my own desk. And I took all that advice and I created my own desk. And then not long after, one of the other concierges, I'm being mindful of time, by the way, because I've got so many careers.
You're right.
I better not give you the long-winded versions. Anyway, I went and worked at I was working in a 4-star hotel, the concierge at Le Meridien at Rialto, which is no longer called that. He said to me, hey, I'm looking for an assistant concierge. And that was kind of a step back, but it really wasn't, because I was moving into 5-star properties. So I did that. I then had an opportunity to either be a bellhop, which is, I think, what they probably a French name for it, at Le Meridien Montparnasse in the year 2000, which was just going to be a short-term offering with the potential that it could be long-term. I also had an offering to go to New York to work at the Waldorf Astoria, or I had the opportunity to become the assistant concierge at the Le Meridien Sydney, which was a brand new hotel they were opening. The Olympics were happening, and I was like, you know what? I want to travel, but I don't think I can miss the Olympics and a brand new hotel. And
Good decision.
So I made the decision. I did that. Anyway, long story short, I ended up I went back to Melbourne, became a chief concierge at the Savoy Park Plaza, and that didn't work out. And there's something I want to tell you with all the things that aren't working out. That I went from working in as a waiter, bartender, into concierge. I missed the landscaping part, but into concierge in hotels. And I thought I was going to be a concierge for the rest of my life. I thought that was the career, right, for me. And then when I moved to the hotel that wasn't working out, I finally got to chief concierge, and I'm about to go for my golden keys on my lapels, been nominated. And it's like the pinnacle of being a concierge in hotels worldwide is to be a Le Clé d'Or concierge. It's the union of concierges. And I was super pumped to do that. But the hotel I was at, it was almost like I'd had my legs cut off, and there were no other hotels for me to go to at that point. And so I made the decision that there was Europcar had just come into Australia, and they were looking for a hotel account manager. And because I knew all the other concierges, they came and approached me because they heard that someone must have told them I wasn't real happy, because the GM hadn't agreed to everything that I wanted to change to make it a 5-star concierge service. And I went and worked with them for a year, and it was the cushiest job. It was so easy, and I brought them from being nowhere to being the second in Melbourne, like the number 2.
Wow.
So Avis, Budget, Thrifty, Hertz. Avis was the only one above us, and then it was Europcar, and then Budget, and then I think it was Hertz, and then Thrifty. Anyway, you probably don't even know what these car rental companies are. And then I did that for a year, but I was really dissatisfied. And all my friends were opening restaurants and bars and clubs, and I thought, I don't really want to do that, but I want to do something. And a friend of mine had a magazine called Concierge. I should have had it handy to show you. And it was called Concierge Magazine. And I thought, I loved it, and I loved the idea of it. But I said to him, hey, his name was Harry, and he actually wrote a book called Concierge Confidential. And I said, Harry, I love this magazine, but I feel like it's not really being promoted properly to the audience, as in it's very text heavy, which I know you love to write, very text heavy, very small photos, and like it's just too involved for people that are 18 to 35 who are the demographic working in hotels who really only have a very limited amount of time to go through it so they can then pass on the information to the guests. And he said, you're right, 100% right. I agree with you, but I just don't know if I'm going to restart it, because he put it on hold while he was doing the book. And he said, but I'm going to give it to you. So he gave me the rights to actually restart it. So I completely started it from scratch. I hired all these, I didn't know how to do it, of course. I thought, but how am I going to do it, right? And I came up with all these ideas. I'm going to hire a graphic designer. My best mate put a little bit of capital into it so we could actually get an office and pay for the graphic designer. And we got all the revenue from all the different businesses that advertised in it. Now, I went to the universities and I advertised for an editor and for writers and for photographers. And I found all these people because I knew I didn't have a lot of capital to work with. So I knew, give them the experience and they can put it on their resume when they're going for jobs.
Sure.
Great idea. And it worked really well. And it was for 2.5 years, it became really successful. It was hard work because I was competing with all the other bigger tourism publications, and our publication is just for front office staff. So we had a smaller distribution number. I think we were like 5,000 to 10,000 copies going out compared to hundreds of thousands of copies.
Sure.
But our motto was informing the informers. So word of mouth, like your best recommendations are going to come from the staff saying, hey, if you want somewhere good to go, this is where you need to go.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of the angle. Anyway, it became really popular, and I used to do events aligned with it and had all the concierges come to the events. And I got to a point where the printing costs just outweighed our ability to actually keep going. People didn't want to pay their bills. Like printing was like advertising was like the last, that's not going to feed us. So it's probably the last bill that they're going to pay. And so it was like a constant chasing of revenue, and then the printers chasing us for revenue. So in the end, we ended up giving it. I used to say we sold it. We didn't sell it. We gave it to one of the publishers, one of the printers, so that they could publish it. They took it over. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I was about to get married. And I thought, you know what? I've now got a bit of experience in selling. And I thought maybe real estate. Maybe I could sell real estate. And so I did that. 2000. What was that?
How old were you at that time?
So when I started the magazine, I was 27, 28. And I must have been 2005. How old am I? I must have been 31. So it's just over 30. So 31, yeah. And I went and worked in real estate. And if anyone's worked in real estate, especially when you get started, and maybe not so much these days, but back when I started, you had to get the phone, and actually it was a landline, not a mobile. You had to make 200 phone calls every single day for a month. That was your first part of your role.
Good old yellow book and go for it.
Yeah, you just had to call people, and then you had to go door knock.
Yeah.
How fun is that?
That's right.
Do you want to sell your house? Get stuff. Yeah. So anyway, but for a year, how long was I? Yeah, I was at the first place for about a year. So 2005, 2006. Yeah. For a year, I was working at a place in Blackburn called Allen's. And it was great. It was a great starting point. In fact, a person who basically headhunts for other real estate agents to move to different offices, headhunted me and said, I've noticed your advertisements in the paper. And he said, are you interested in maybe looking at another place to go and work? And I didn't even have it in my mind. I said, oh, maybe. What are you thinking? And he told me that there were a couple of places. One was in Sandringham and one was in Brighton. And I thought, yeah, I'd love to go. I'd prefer to go and work there. I was like in the inner suburbs, and this is like, your wealthier areas. I thought, yeah, I'm interested in going for it. So I went to Sandringham. That interview was okay, but not great. But the interview at Brighton was brilliant. and I got offered the job. And now within 2 years of working there, in 2007, the guy who was like our real estate trainer said to me, look, there's the Real Estate Institute of Victoria Awards coming up, and I want to nominate you because you've been doing so well. I really want to nominate you for one of the awards. Would you be interested? Oh, hell yeah. Right. So I went, yeah. And now I locked into my mind, and I don't know why, but I locked into my mind that I was going to win it.
Yeah.
I just kept saying, I'm going to win this award.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something a little bit, maybe for some people, a little bit airy-fairy, a little bit woo-woo. I saw this dragonfly flying around my car. And now where my work, and it's at the back of my office in Brighton. Now where I was located, there's no little creeks or rivers or like no place where a dragonfly should be. And I love dragonflies. There's something about, for me, dragonflies is like my little creature. And when I saw the dragonfly so far out of its environment, I said to myself, that is my sign that I've won. I've won this award.
Wow. Mm.
Now, when I turned up for that award in 2007 in November? I think it was November. When I turned up there, Andrew O'Keefe, if you ever remember who he was from Deal or No Deal, was the host, right? And he's calling out all the awards. Now, when my name got called out as the winner, I knew it, so I wasn't surprised. I was still like excited, but I wasn't surprised because I knew that was going to be the case. Now, when I went up and spoke to him, I said to him, "Hey, Andrew, just wondering if I can get my check." And he looked at me and he said, he said, Concierge magazine.
Oh, wow.
Right? And he said, oh my God. And I said, yeah, can I have my $125,000? Now you're probably thinking, what the hell is Brett talking about? $125,000 from Andrew O'Keefe from Deal or No Deal. Yeah. I was the first ever person on that show to win $125,000.
You're joking. Oh, wow.
However, it was the pre-show. It was the test show. It was not the airing episode.
It wasn't the real deal. Oh, you're joking.
It wasn't the real deal. So the point is, right, it was like another sign for me when I saw it.
Or was that something that did you know about it, or did you know it and were you mucking around, or did you really not know and you're like, oh, I didn't realize it's a pre-show?
No, I totally knew. And in fact, my business partner was and he's my best mate, was with me for Deal or No Deal. And when I got called up for it, he said to me, he was shaking his head going, oh no, it's like, we're not going to get on the actual airing episode. And I said, you never know, maybe they'll just call us up again. I said, no, they're not going to do it. And they didn't. Law of attraction, again, he attracted at the basket. Anyway, but the fun thing was, you know what, I'm being given this award. It was like, you didn't win that, but you've now won this. Now that award, which is this one, I've got it right here, which is this one here.
Oh, yeah.
REIB, cool. Residential Salesperson of the Year.
Cool.
So that award really helped me, in a number of different ways, definitely professionally. But, it's one of those things that I wasn't winning that award for the amount of sales that I made. You might think, Salesperson of the Year, probably based on your numbers. No. If anyone remembers, 2008 is when we went into the GFC, the global financial crisis. And 2007 was the peak in Australia. It was the peak of real estate. So prices were just ridiculous. Like you would go to a property that was promoting 1 to 1.2 million for an auction, and it would go for 2 million. Like it was just, and people they couldn't even work out whether they should turn up for an auction half the time. So the reason I won it is because I was so good at looking after both the buyer and the seller. I wasn't so motivated about how much money am I making. Like, yes, I want to get a great result for the client, but I want to have both parties have a great experience.
Yep.
And because of my concierge background, right, I brought that understanding about how to look after people. That's why I won the award. So for me, it was like recognition of all the work that I put in. Now, moving forward, because I know I'm taking up a lot of time telling you the stories about my careers. So
that's right. We've got a solid question at the end of this, so you keep going.
Oh, good. Okay. So I'm going to fast forward it a bit because I really want to get to I really want to get to the important stuff, because not that my past careers aren't important, they've made who I am today. I went on to, as I said, I was in real estate. I actually went bankrupt in 2011. And when you go bankrupt, and there's a story behind it, when you go bankrupt, you can't operate in real estate. So I knew I had to quit and I had to find something else. My wife didn't know at the time, by the way. I haven't talked about my wife yet, but she didn't know. I didn't tell her. I didn't communicate, which I'm not proud of. And I had to make a decision to do something else. So I went and worked for a company called Scoopon, and that was kind of like Groupon. It's like a company that has daily deals where you buy a cheap deal and you go and experience it, and hopefully you like it and you might go back again. And I went and worked for them, and I became known as the fitness expert. I would bring in all these amazing fitness deals that would work. And I thought, you know what? It was becoming highly stressful in this job, the most stress you could possibly imagine. In fact, we had people like verbally abusing us when we weren't doing what they wanted. Like, it was like you were in the 1950s and 60s, where companies that were running the business would just like absolutely let you have it. So, and a lot of lawsuits, by the way. But I made the decision from that point, maybe I should become a personal trainer. And so I went on the journey of meeting a couple of people.
Oh, you're frozen.
Am I still here?
You're back.
Okay, I went to work with a company who are Australia's #1 fitness business coaching company. And they said to me, look, we'll help you become a personal trainer, but how about you help us? Because you're good at sales and good at, talking to people. Why don't you bring people to our events and help people get into our, coaching strategy calls? I thought, yeah, that sounds great. I got so good at that I was working 4 hours a day. I ended up being able to work from home. So my wife and I moved to Noosa, which was a dream of ours, a goal of ours. We had vision boards. And we're finally living where I am right now in Noosaville, not in the same place, not the same house, but just around the corner. And we're finally here, and I'm earning really good money. I got her to now I got a whippersnipper going on. I got her to quit her jobs.
It's all happening.
She was running 2 insurance businesses. I got her to quit the jobs. Is this too distracting?
No, you're good. Keep going.
No? Okay. I got her to quit. I'll put the microphone closer. I got her to quit her 2 jobs, and I was just the one working, earning some great money. But then what happened was, in August of 2014, I received a phone call from my office, from my admin manager. Her name's Lynn. And she said, Brett, we've got an issue. Now, this is 18 months after I started. And she said, Brett, we've got an issue with the invoicing. And I said, oh, okay, well, when I get back to the office, I'll fix it up and I'll send it to you. Just let me know what I need to do. And she said, no, I don't think sorry, I haven't really explained myself. I don't think you understand. We've had the auditors through, and for the last 18 months, the accounts are out by 50,000 from you. And when I heard that, actually ended up being 60,000.
Yeah, wow.
And when I heard that, the first thing I thought was, how the hell did I cause this? And at first I thought, there must be something wrong. Like, this can't be real. But I thought, no, in the end, I thought, no, I probably have caused this. Because to be honest, not great with numbers. I have an accountant now. I have an accountant to help me. So I'm a lot more careful now. But in that moment, the first thing I thought was, I knew this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Remember I said to you just a moment ago, I didn't tell my wife I went bankrupt?
Yeah.
She still didn't know. 2014, August, she still didn't know. Now, I said to her, no, I didn't say to her. I I knew that this was.
You thought you said to her, right? You thought you said to her, but
Well,
you didn't.
no, look, and I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to get to the point of this story, which will really make sense, I hope, to a lot of people, is that I realized that this was the last thing that could happen for me that I could now no longer control.
Yeah.
As in all these other past times, and I know I've kind of told you some long-winded stories, but every time I would get to a point where it would get too hard or it would become a struggle, I would make a decision to actually do something different. And then later I would go, why did I do that? I know better. And so here I am, right, finally accepting that I've got this $50,000 debt. And I thought, first thing I thought was, I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to end up on the street. I'm going to be a deadbeat dad, because we were 3 months or 4 months pregnant at the time. My first child, from the age of 14 and 15, I'd always imagined being a dad. No surprise, because I didn't have a dad. So, of course, I'm going to think about being a dad, right? And so, I always imagined I'd be a young dad. Here I am, 39, turning 40, about to become a dad, an older dad. Lucky I'm in fitness, right? Lucky I train hard so I can keep up with him. But in that moment, I remember thinking, my life is over and I'm probably never going to be a success. I always imagined I'd be a success, and it's probably never going to happen for me. Now, that pity party lasted for minutes. It didn't last for hours, didn't last for days. It lasted for minutes. Now, my blood type is B positive. So no surprise, I'm actually a very positive person. And that was the thing that saved me. Being positive saved me. And I remember I switched. I was crying for the first time as an adult, I was crying my eyes out because I knew my marriage was over. As soon as I tell my wife this news, I knew she was going to say, that's it. This is the final straw for me, because I knew I had to tell her other things as well. And so in that moment when I'm crying my eyes out, I said two things to myself. The first thing I said to myself is, I never want to be this type of man again. And the second thing I said to myself is, when I figure out how to fix myself, I should teach other men how to fix themselves. In fact, my actual wording was, I should help other stupid men like me. That's how I felt, right? And I should help, and I should write this book. Now, after I stopped crying, and as I'm walking back to go and tell my wife the great news, I remember thinking, where the hell did this idea of writing a book come from? Like, who would want to read a book from me? Especially feeling the way I felt, being a failure. But I went, you know what? I started to journal. I started to take some notes. And yes, my wife did leave. And I started to journal a bit. And it was a very, very tough time. But what I did do over the next 4 years, I ended up going and getting a job as a gym manager. I actually opened a new gym and ran that gym. I studied to become a personal trainer. I still worked. I worked off my debt. So I didn't have the money. I didn't mention this, but the reason I knew I couldn't control it, when we moved to Noosa, we just bought a new car. We had invested in 2 businesses with the savings we did have, and both of those businesses hadn't taken off. We had no savings. I mentioned I went bankrupt, no ability for me to borrow. I'm sure I was positive my wife wasn't going to offer to go and get a loan to help us out of this situation, especially not 50,000. So I knew I had to find another way. And thankfully, the guys said to me, look, how about you keep doing the job, keep working, because you're obviously doing good. It's just you obviously were doing better than, obviously you were thinking you were doing better than you were. So in less than a year, I paid off that debt, and I continued to work with them up until October of last year. And that was the first time that I really took responsibility, and I really repaired and mended some bridges. And I helped my ex-partner to be a stay-at-home mum for the first 3 years of my son's life. And she didn't have to work. And I still continue to pay more than most ex-partners do. And So I did a lot of healing, mending, but the one thing I hadn't done at that point was actually heal myself and really start to work on and change and transform into the person that I've become today. And so in
Wow.
November, thank you.
So I'm gonna ask you to pause on that one because I wanted you to talk about what happened in November of that year. If just from listening to what you're saying, one of the things that we're getting, by the way, we honor your honesty, your vulnerability,
your truth,
and for you to
your
share this,
openness.
openly. Thank you so much.
Thank
Your
you.
story is powerful.
It is.
And for those of you jumping in right now, welcome to the Love Money Mindset Show. You're with Brett D. Scott, the man of the hour. He is talking, he's Superman. He's sitting with us right now, sharing exactly what he went through, sharing his down moments, and also very vulnerably sharing his weaknesses, his challenges, his struggles, and how he was coming out of it. And we haven't gone there yet. We're about to.
We're about to get into the shift.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, take it away, mate. Carry on. Then what happened in November?
Thank you. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Like some podcasts I go on, I just share snippets, like little bits and pieces. I'm sure you guys do the same. And for some reason, I was being guided to give everyone the inside, right? The inside scoop on like how I sort of came about and the fact that I was able to change. And those things have been really helpful. So even though, and a lot of us look back at the past and we think I've made these decisions and they didn't work. And so I failed. I've got all these failures, these past things that I did. They're not failures. In fact, those things are actually part of my strength, because if I hadn't have gone through all of those things, then I wouldn't have the understanding to help people in the work that I do now as a coach. Yeah. And so in November of 2018, as I was about to say before, I'm driving my car, listening to Bob Proctor's Paradigm Shift event, and it was a replay, and there's a bigger story to it, but I was listening to it. I wasn't watching it, I was listening to it, and Bob was preaching through the phone. In fact, it was like I was being hit so hard with whatever he was saying, and I can't even remember the exact words. But from memory, I think it was something along the lines of, you too can live this life. And I started to cry. This time, second time as an adult, this time in a positive way. And I remember asking myself, what the hell is going on? Like, what are you doing? I mean, I was almost laughing, thinking, what am I doing? Why am I crying? And I heard in my head very clearly these words: oh my God, you are going to be a success this time. And it was an instant knowing, it hit my heart. I knew it. That's it. And I said to myself, okay, that's awesome. Well, how do I get started? What do I do? Now, Bob was mentioning in that Paradigm Shift event, and I'd heard him, I've been following Bob Proctor for 13 years at that time. So I've heard a lot of Bob Proctor talks, right? I've heard a lot of his information, yet I was not applying and I was not getting the results. Now, he said that for 57 years at that time, now it's over 60 years, he'd been reading this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In fact, his was hard copy, black, and it was torn to shreds because he's read it so much. In fact, every single day he reads that book. It's like his Bible. And I remember thinking, why the hell would anyone want to read the same book, not only a few times, maybe you read a few times, but why would you read it every single day? And I thought, well, rather than me trying to figure out why is he doing it, why don't I just do what he's doing? So, the first thought I had was, well, I'm not good at reading. And it's not that I'm not good at reading. It's the fact that when I would read, it would be late at night. I'd be sitting in bed. I'd be tired. And I couldn't keep my train of thought, and I would lose my focus and my attention. I'd hear one of those outside noises and I'd be distracted, and I wouldn't read it. And so I thought, well, I need to get the information. How do I get the information? I thought, oh, well, there's this Audible app. Maybe I can get the Audible. And I thought, well, what can I do right now though? And I thought, well, I wonder if it's on YouTube. So I typed Think and Grow Rich into YouTube, and lo and behold, there is I think Earl Nightingale. Actually, I don't know if Earl Nightingale, but it's someone on YouTube is reading Think and Grow Rich. So for the next 8 or 9 hours after the paradigm shift, I locked into Think and Grow Rich. And the first time I heard it, so many epiphanies. In fact, I use this book all the time. I don't use it as my Bible at this point, but I definitely use it. And there's one thing I want to share with all of you, and this will be, if you only get this one thing, if this is the only thing you learn from me today, from everything I tell you, this will be one of the most impactful things that happens for you in your life ongoing, because that's how it's happened for me, and it's happened for many of my clients. So in this book, Napoleon Hill interviewed over, would have been more than this, but there were over 500 people, 500 very successful people that he interviewed, including Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, numerous other people. And of those 500 truly successful people, the only thing that they could agree upon, he said literally the only thing they could all agree upon, is they all made very quick decisions and they changed their mind very slowly, if at all. And he said, and of the people that didn't have the same success, they would take a long time to make up their mind. In fact, they would probably procrastinate and not make a decision. But if they did make the decision, they probably changed their mind frequently. In fact, all the time. I remember when I first heard that, I thought, okay, I'm that guy. I'm the latter. I'm the guy that takes way too long to make a decision, right? Now, I was on Jack Canfield's show in December of last year, and Jack said to me, he goes, you've had a lot of success this past year. What do you think is one of those contributing factors, or what's the number one thing that you think has helped you to have the success you've had this year? And I said, that's easy. And I didn't mention the Napoleon Hill quote, but what I did mention is that I actually made a decision with myself. In January or February of last year, I said, I've got to stop. Like, I recognized that I wasn't pulling the trigger because I was afraid of failing. And I said, Brett, you've got to stop being afraid of failing, and you've got to start being afraid of not trying. And I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. How am I going to stick to that? Because when you're in that moment, as I'm sure many of you have been, like, to make a decision to actually say yes or no, it's actually very hard, because you get all those conflicting ideas that pop into your head, usually the ego. And I thought, okay, well, what if I ask myself a question? Okay, well, what question am I going to ask? Well, what about, does this have an ability to get me closer to my goal? I thought, yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, how will I know? Well, what if you just go quiet, and if you get that feeling like it's a strong pull to a yes, like it feels right, that's intuition, it feels right, just say yes. But if that ego mind kicks in, or the monkey mind, and you start to have all those I don't know, could do this, could do that, just say no. Just say no. But make a decision, right? Make a decision one way or the other. Okay, that's what I did, right? And that has served me. That has served me so well, because even if you say no, doesn't mean it's no forever. Because then if I say no to you guys to work with you, you go, oh, thank you for saying no. Can you tell me why you said no? Sure, I'm actually a bit conflicted because these are the feelings, or this is the thought. Oh, okay, that's great. I appreciate you sharing. Then you get to come back with something and say, what about this and this and that? And I go, oh, actually, that actually helps me. And now I'm being pulled to say yes, right? When we don't make conclusive decisions, for ourselves, when we don't say yes or no, I don't know about you, but for me, this was typical, right? And it happened on the first coach that I actually worked with. She said to me, can I have your credit card? And I'm going to process the payment. It was 10,000 US. I was like, can you give me a couple of days, and I'll see if I can work something out. She said to me, no. And I said, okay. And she said, do you want to know why I said no? And I said, yes, please. And she said, the reason I'm saying no is because you haven't made a decision. I said, oh, okay. What do you mean by that? And she said, well, she said, right now, all you are is interested. And all you're saying that you're keen to work with me, right? And I said, yeah. And she said, you haven't decided to work with me. You just got to make a decision. Do you want to work with me? Yes. Do you want to work with me? No. I don't care if it's no. I just want you to make a decision. And I said, okay, well, it's yes. And she said, okay. Now, she said, you've made the decision, haven't you? Feels good? I said, yeah, it feels good, but I'm actually shitting myself now. How do I do that? How am I going to pay for it? I've got no money, right? I had no savings. I might have been able to borrow something, but I definitely did not feel like a good investment. And I didn't know it at the time, but my self-worth and my self-belief were very shattered. I had a big mask on, like I had a facade on. And anyway, she gave me some exercises to do, which I now do for my clients, and it works as long as they have conclusively made the decision that feels right for them, not because I've forced them to do it, right? And that's what all of it. Like if anyone watching, if that's all they get out of this is that they learn how to make a better decision, you watch your life change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brett, I'd like to ask you a question regarding what's the best piece of advice for our listeners today in regards to both success and failure?
So can you say that once more? I had the whippersnapper going on there.
They were like right there in your ear, weren't they?
So what's the piece of advice you could give our listeners in regards to success and failure?
So do you want me to give you the excuse me, what I understand for success and failure?
Yeah.
Okay. So success has really changed for me, right? When I used to think about success, it was about how much money have you got? You know, what have you got a home? Do you own a home? Do you have investment properties? Do you have businesses? Do you go on lots of holidays? You know, can you donate to a lot of charities? I used to think that was success.
Mm.
I still think that's really important. I think it's very important, but I don't believe that is success for me.
Sure.
Now, I've had many moments of success on this journey, and I can tell you the first time it happened, I remember making a choice or a decision, and I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, how did I just do that? Like, how did I make that happen? And I thought, oh my God, I know how I made that happen. I wasn't shocked because I actually knew I did the work, right? I knew I'd actually done the internal changes. I changed my beliefs. I changed my habitual behavior. I stopped a lot of the things that weren't working. Not stopped, I actually replaced them. And so for me, success is when you actually make the decision that you are going to change. So the way I look at life is you're outside. Our physical world that we live in is just a reflection of what's going on the inside.
100%.
And I didn't understand that before, right? I really didn't understand that. And so those moments that I have where I feel absolute joy going, oh my God, like, you know, and even when you achieve certain things, I go, I made that happen. Because I know I did not the physical work. I did.
Don't worry about that. That's like a siren for you to say, that's it, show's over, see you later. Thank you for no jokes.
No, what I was going to say, that's me. Like I know I've done the internal work. Now, when I first started the journey and I invested that money in my first coach, I remember thinking, sorry, I'm just getting distracted myself. Can you give me, I'm running over time and so are we. Can you give me 10? When I invested in my first coach, Mariko was her name, by the way, in Canada, originally from Japan. I remember that I actually got I was going to say donated. I got lent the money, and I remember thinking I need a return on my investment, not just to pay back the person that lent it to me, but I also need to make sure that I do the work because I actually don't want to start something and not finish this time. Because that's what I did all the time. I would start something and it would start to get hard, or I'd start to lose motivation and I would give up, right? That's why I knew having a coach would be helpful. So I said to myself, whatever this coach tells me to do, I'm going to do. Even if I think it sounds stupid, I'm going to do it. And that was the secret to the success, is I just continued to do what I was told to do. And I did the work. If you're told to do the work, do the work. And when I was doing the work, like doing the answers to these questions, I remember thinking, oh my God, like how powerful is this? Because not only am I hearing Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher and my coach telling me this amazing information, which sounds great, but how does it apply to me? And more importantly, how do I then apply it into my life?
Yep.
And that's what these questions were doing for me. I was like, blowing my mind. And I actually applied these things into my life, into these situations that I had going on. And, you know, so many things change in such a short space of time. Like, things were changing way too quick for my mind, like thinking, holy hell, like I was struggling, you know, internally to keep up, because it was such a shock at how quickly certain things were changing. Like, I had such a rapid growth, such rapid shifts in many aspects of my life. But the point is, everyone has the ability to do that. And the only thing that, I guess my tip on failure, because I've sort of explained what success is for me, it's every time I have those moments of joy thinking, wow, I did that. Like, I made that happen. That to me is success. And success are those moments, rather than, you know, just achieving something or buying something new. That's enjoyable and it's kind of rewarding, but it's not actually success to me. Failure, on the other hand, I actually really appreciate failure now. In fact, when I look back at the things that haven't worked in the past, I can look at it and say, what could I have done differently? Or what would I do differently now? Or if I don't have the understanding about how to change it, who do I need to go and see? Who has done that better? You know, so failure gives you an ability to look at it, look at the contrast of it and say, how can I actually use what has happened here to improve my next decision or the next move that I make on that journey that I'm going on? Does that help?
100%. 100%. So basically what you're trying to say is, if there are any, this is my understanding, but you can complete it as well, and feel free to jump in. But if you're saying failure is having to stop and pause and find jitters or find juttering moments because you're not making decisions like you said before, conclusive decisions allow people to create, I like to say propel with momentum. And I find I'm translating what you're saying, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but what I'm getting is the difference of having to fail and not fail is to be able to find that contrast of propelling with momentum. And that's where success comes. But a lot of people don't measure success like that, because people are looking for a specific outcome, because we're all taught to be able to create specificity when we're trying to pursue something, whether it's a goal or not. Not receiving so creates this a level of disappointment, because there is a high level of expectation. So that in itself is disappointment, and that disappointment creates a lot of failure in a person before they can even achieve something, because that achievement is really around the corner. It might be in a different form, but it really gives them that feeling. Because what is failure and what is a success, right? I think, my belief is that if someone wants to succeed in something, it's not really the attainment of that thing or whatever they're going after is what success really is. It's that feeling and emotion that's connected to that drives and propels them to move forward after that, to go to the next goal and the next goal. And not feeling that feeling or emotion is what really creates that disappointment, not really the tangible stuff that they're seeing on the external.
And I think if a person remains conflicted, you make no decision. So therefore there's no progress, there's no momentum, which makes the person really just stop in their tracks and not try anything, because you're scared. You don't want to make that decision, so you just do nothing. So I really do feel myself that success is very much about being able to take those little baby steps to create that momentum, because progress is better than perfection.
You got it 100%. It really and truly it is, and there's two things. Like, we've got this heading that you've got here. I want to answer two things on that, right? And it will be aligned with what you've just said. So the reason we choose a big, hairy, audacious goal, and for anyone that doesn't know what a big, hairy, audacious goal is, it just means going after something that you look at and you think, how the hell am I going to get that? Like, that just seems so far out of reach. Seems so difficult. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. Thank you. Coffee delivery. How good's that?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And the reason we do it, so this is what I tell my clients all the time. The goal is not the goal. The goal is not the goal. The goal is super important, but the goal is not the goal. For you to achieve the goal is not that's not what your goal is. I'm going on a tangent. The goal is for you to actually grow and to become the person
Correct.
that is ready. When you talked about stepping stones, you've got to get moving, right? So when you choose something that's really big that you have no idea how to get to, well, that's good. But you look at it and you go, well, where do I start? Good.
Correct.
Where do I start? Just get started. Just move. Just do something. Well, what's the first thing I can do? Well, you could go, who else has achieved that before? Well, I don't know. Maybe if you want to be a basketball player, maybe Michael Jordan, or maybe someone that has a lot of success. So the point is, like, you've got to try and stop thinking you've got all the answers as well, right? Stop thinking you've got all the answers. You have, actually, if I'm being really honest, we have all the answers inside of us, connected through source.
100%.
But you don't. But consciously, we don't have all the answers, and that is okay. You don't need to have all the answers. In fact, in this book, one of the biggest things, and you guys do it and I do it, masterminding, right? Mastermind. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to surround yourself with other people who are doing amazing things that can share their experience and their ideas, connect you with people, right? So go after something big, because it allows you to grow into someone even more amazing, right? And you go through this journey. There are going to be some struggles. There are going to be moments where you think, why the hell am I doing this? Why am I going after this? It could be so much easier.
Yeah.
It won't be fulfilling. That's the biggest thing I see. I've got a friend who's one of my friends has joined one of my groups, and in fact, two of my good friends have become clients, which is to me, it was such a compliment. They reached out to me and said, hey, can I do this?
Yeah.
And one of them, it was because they're really wanting to get clear. Finally, they're about to start their own business. They've been working for other people for such a long time.
Good on them.
They now got the money to go and do it, but they want to do it the right way.
Yeah, good.
The other one, he's a financial planner. He has a great business. Everything's comfortable. Everything's really okay. But he's missing something, right? He's missing a bit of meaning, a bit of like, what am I doing?
Yep.
So that's what it is for him. It's like now he's starting to get the idea, and he's really starting to go, wow, okay, now I can see what I can do.
Yep.
Right. And the next part, paradigm. I mentioned at the start, what the hell is a paradigm? A paradigm, from what Bob Proctor teaches, is a multitude of habits or beliefs, that we build in our subconscious mind. Now, some of them are genetic. Some of them you don't even have any choice. Some of them are, like when we're a young child, and you probably listen to, like me, Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, where they explain from the age of, 3 to 7 or 3 to 5, depending on who you listen to, that our subconscious mind is completely open. We don't really have much of a conscious mind going on. So we're just information dump, So some stuff is good and some stuff is not so good, right? Sure. Depending on our environment, depending on who we're surrounded with. So, we get to an older age and we have to go through this process of working out what's working for us, and more importantly, what is not working for us, and we go through a process of looking at our non-productive actions and our non-productive beliefs, and going through a change process, replacing them, not removing them, replacing them. Anyway, I told you I could talk about this stuff. Like, now we're into this. I could just keep going, but I got a client waiting.
I know what you mean. So here are a few questions that we want to ask before we wrap this up with you, right? One, you brought up something with regards to mastermind, so we want to talk about that. What is the when you have to share something with someone about coaching, what in one sentence, what would you say the impact is of actually getting a coach? What's the impact in one sentence?
Look, for me, I mentioned working in real estate, being a top real estate agent.
You got one sentence because you got to go, so we've got to make sure we still got to get some nuggets out of you. So
invest in yourself. Invest in yourself.
Yeah,
that's what a coach is. Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You think you're investing in the coach? No, you're investing in you.
That's really good.
Okay, well, since you're saying that, for the viewers and the listeners, Brett, what is it that they got to look for when they're going out to get a coach? When they're looking to hire a coach and invest in themselves, what specifically do they need to look for? Very briefly.
They need to look for someone that, one, has the runs on the board in whatever it is that they want to do. Two, aligned with that they're a product of their product. They're not just talking all this information, they're actually living it. And 3, I would say that you need to feel like you actually have a really good connection. Because especially like if you're going to work with someone ongoing or for a long period of time, you want to know you're actually going to enjoy not only the good times, but when the coach says to you, what the hell are you doing? Like, come on, we need to get moving. Those times when it's not comfortable, you need to be okay.
A good old kick up the butt.
Yeah, you need to be okay that you're going to accept it. I hired a new coach the other day. I keep hiring coaches.
Yeah.
You think you get to a level and you stop? No, you hire more. That's right. I have 4 coaches at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're all and they work in different areas with you, right? And they keep helping you grow in different areas. Exactly.
Yeah. If I don't have the skill and I don't want to learn it, I go and hire someone.
That's it. Say that again. I think this is really important for people to hear.
If I don't have the skill and if I don't want to learn it, I will hire someone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is something really powerful. We speak a lot about this to our community and the clients. Stop being a how person and start becoming a who person who can find a how person.
Exactly. If you want to fast track your results, it's the best way to do it.
Correct.
You don't want to learn every single aspect of your life. If somebody else knows it better than you can and can fast track your results, it's
leverage.
So worth it. Absolutely.
Leverage all the way. Okay. Well said. So here we're in the last segment of this this interview. We want to make sure we get the best for this. And this is a lot of fun. So we're going to go into rapid fire because we want to roll. Once the rapid fire is over, we're going to ask you the most important question in terms of where our viewers can find you, how they can connect with you and, work with you if they have to. All right, here we go. Yeah, obviously. So let's start with this one. Define paradigm shift in one word. Or one sentence. Let's make your life easier.
New you.
Ooh, okay.
New you.
Okay. What's one action that changed your entire life, especially in business?
Hiring a coach.
Ah, okay. An exciting moment in your personal life.
Oh, in my personal life.
Yeah.
Well, my son being born, that was pretty phenomenal.
Okay.
But otherwise, being on, like I was on Jack Canfield's show on my birthday. That was pretty.
That was special. That would have been special. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay. One thing that you have that your contemporaries don't.
Say that again.
One thing that you have that your contemporaries don't.
That my contemporaries don't. Well, I'm Superman. That's one. No.
Period.
What I call myself the late bloomer thought leader, and I don't promote it, but that's what I call myself because I think the difference I have is that I finally figured it out at an older age where other people, I remember looking at other people who have had success in their 20s and 30s and think I didn't really have what I considered at that time to be a success. Why did it take me so long? How many other people get to an older age and give up? Think that's it. I'm not going to try. So my mission is to help those people.
Love it. And if your life was turned into a movie, Brett, what would be the title of the movie and which actor would you choose to play your role?
Oh, wow. I'm going to say that I probably would still call it Supercharged Freedom because that's the name of my new book coming out. Supercharged Freedom. In fact, I have someone who wants to make a movie with me.
Oh, wow.
It's actually my book coach. Supercharged Freedom. And who would play me? I would have said Michael J. Fox, but that's a bit hard and he's a bit older than me now. But we used to look alike when I was younger.
Right.
Who would it be? Older. Trying to think who's up and coming. That's a tough one. Who would play me? Okay. Chris Hemsworth.
Ooh, okay. All right. Why not? Go for it. Okay.
He's been a superhero before.
He has. Okay, so here's another one. Two ideas that can help someone, in the short term, start making that paradigm shift. 2 ideas. Really short.
Okay. Make a decision that you want to change, number one.
Mhm.
And then 2, go and search or go and look for someone that you resonate with that has had the changes that you'd like to have.
Well
Yep.
said.
Okay, recommend a book that everyone in the Love Money Mindset community should read.
The Alchemist
Oh.
by Coelho Coelho.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
I agree.
after reading your book.
Mm.
After reading your book.
Yes, of course. Supercharged freedom. Your truth will set you free. Or this is a Silver Stevie, I Fly, no coincidence, Superman, right? I'm one of the authors, and this is 20 authors. It's a Silver Stevie award-winning book of the year. And it was triple bestseller on Amazon. And we're in the Oscars bag for the nominated
How
actors.
cool was that?
How cool
That's
is that?
really wicked.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brett, go ahead and recommend one resource or one tool that you, apart from anything, or you know what? No, just go ahead and recommend one tool that you could use in business to do better business online.
All that's changed your life.
Say that once more.
One tool that has changed your life.
One tool. One tool. I think, like, for me, this is longer than it should be, but I stopped watching TV and listening to the radio, and I started listening to audiobooks and a lot more positive material. So I think, like, not listening to the negative crap and moving into the positive and actually learning more. So that was probably the tool, was just committing to swapping what's not working or what's not serving you to something that is.
That's cool. And you know what? That's really important. I just want to say, because tools is something that people always look for on the external.
Yeah.
And yes, there are lots of external tools, but the ultimate tools or the ultimate bag of tools we have is really inside, and that's called resources. We've got resources internally that are emotions. And if we can tap into our emotions to get whatever we want or get out of whatever we want, it's 100% possible. And that's what you proved today. You shared today, and you spoke a lot about how you've done that.
I'd just like to also commend you that you spoke earlier on in your story about being unable to actually express and communicate what you felt. You've done that so beautifully today, and being able to actually express your truth, express your emotions, and express your thoughts.
Yeah.
So I just want to commend you for doing that.
Awesome, bro.
Thank you. Yeah,
really.
And that's, one last word for everyone is truth.
Yeah.
And that's why my book, the subheading is Your Truth. Your truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Jesus said the truth will set you free, but I'm telling you, your truth will set you free. Be honest with you, first of all, and then it'll be so much easier to be honest with everyone else.
Here's a litmus test question for you. Do you ever know when you're ready to set yourself free, to see the truth?
Do you ever know?
Do you ever know when you're ready?
I think it's like, there's a word that I often bring up. When people say to me, I'm frustrated, I'm really frustrated, I say, that's really good. Okay, can you just give me 1 second? Because my client is going, where are we?
It's cool. No problem.
Literally 1 minute, aren't we?
That's
minute
cool.
away?
While Brett is trying to sort that out, and we're close to a wrap, we want to welcome everyone. Thank everybody for being here. Love Money Mindset Show. We are right here with an amazing soul. We're right now towards the end of the session. We're about to let this man go, but we can't let go of him just that so easily. We're actually getting him late to his client. But we want to just say this, if you want to learn about how you can shift, how you can really make that difference, listen to the replay of this entire episode and understand, because there's so many golden nuggets that this guy's just been dropping all the way through with his story. Brett has really shared the amount of goof ups he's had, the amount of excuses he's made, the amount of times he's had to live in that immaturity to then finally show up and take responsibility.
That's right. And the stepping stones of our failures really are the stepping stones to our success.
That's right. Big time.
Really
so
yeah.
how does the Love Money Mindset crew find you, mate? How did they find you?
I'm on most of the socials. I'm even on TikTok. Not that I do much on TikTok, but I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So it's Brett D. Scott or Freedom Coaching by Brett D. Scott or Brett D. Scott _ Freedom Coaching on Instagram. Or you got on the bottom here, brettdscott.com. Send me if you go, you know what, this is resonating, or I want to be on your list to get your new book, or even this book. There should be a link for that, I think. If not already, there will be.
Yep,
But
there will.
yeah, really like
in the comments of the live for sure.
Awesome.
cool. Yeah, and if anyone goes, I want to know a bit more about that. Yeah, just tell them to reach out to me. Yeah, and I'm like, one of my superpowers is actually, and you guys know it, like no one will go 24 hours without hearing from me. Like I don't let any on my messenger or anywhere, nothing. And I'm sure that might change one day when I have millions of followers, but right now I have the ability to stay in touch with everyone. So yeah, if you reach out, you'll definitely get a reply.
That's awesome.
I
So,
love it.
closing thoughts, mate. You were saying, how do you ever know you're ready to want to break
Yeah.
free?
So
and
when you're frustrated, when people say I'm really frustrated, I say that's really good. And they're often like, no, it's bad, it's negative. No, it's really good, because when you're at a frustrated point, it's like you're ready for something. Like, I know this isn't working, I really need something. Like, what is it? What do I have to do? You're ready for it. You're asking question, you know. So frustration is my feeling on when you're ready.
Wow.
But I do have to go.
That's
I
it.
do have to
All right.
go.
Thanks a lot for joining the show, mate. Thanks for showing up. All right.
Superman's got to fly. See you, Brett. Thanks so
Bye,
much.
Thanks so much, brother. Thanks so much, everybody, for being on this show. We
Yeah.
love you. Continue watching, continue learning, continue asking the questions. Make sure, hang on, where's this gone? Let's just change that. Make sure we can get back the view so you can see us properly. Make sure that you guys go to brettdscott.com to check out Brett and his work and continue to work with him or start working with him. We just want to say thank you very much for sticking around and really hanging out with us and learning a lot about what Brett had to say today.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts, Bubs?
Yeah, being able to actually learn about, failures and the success that he really does bring, and that they are stepping stones. Failures really are the stepping stones to success. Had we not had those failures, we wouldn't have had the inner drive to be able to want something better or something more. It could be in love, it could be in money, it could be in mindset. I just want to leave today's show with letting you know that you can have it all. It's all up to you.
That's it. All right.
Take
We'll
care.
see you
Ciao
guys
for
soon.
now, guys.
Ciao for now, peeps.
Bye.